For more than 6 decades, Gloria Gaynor has been the quiet force behind some of the most beloved hymns in Christian music history. Her pen gave voice to the deepest longings of the human soul: grief, hope, doubt, and unshakable faith. And her words found their way into churches, hospitals, and homes across the world. Now, at 82 years old, this remarkable woman is stepping away from public life, not in defeat, but with the same grace and intention that defined every chapter of her extraordinary journey. The announcement came quietly, as most things in Gloria Gaynor's life tend to do. In a heartfelt video released through Gaynor Music Group, she spoke softly and slowly, her voice carrying the weight of someone who has said everything that needed to be said and is now ready to rest. She did not use the word retirement outright, but her message was unmistakable. The large stages, the long tours, the public appearances, those seasons she suggested, were now behind her. She spoke of a gentle tug on her heart, a sense, she said, that God was calling her towards something quieter and more reflective. She expressed deep gratitude for the decades of love, prayers, and unwavering support from fans and fellow artists alike, but made clear that a new chapter was beginning, one focused on family, personal writing, and stillness. She chose to keep the specific details of her health private, sharing only what she felt was right for this season of life. Yet the tone of her message communicated everything that words could not. It was a tone of surrender and peace, of a woman who had given generously and was now ready to receive rest. The response from fans and artists around the world was immediate and overwhelming. Tributes flooded social media. People shared personal stories of how her lyrics had carried them through illness, loss, and seasons of deep uncertainty. Her farewell, rather than feeling like an ending, resonated as something sacred, a passing of the torch from a woman who had lit the way for so many. To understand Gloria Gaynor is to understand where she came from. Born Gloria Sickle on March 4th, 1942, in Michigan, she grew up in a home rooted in Christian faith, strong ethical values, and a deep love of language and learning. From her earliest years, she displayed an extraordinary gift for words. By the time she was a young child, she was already writing poetry, not as a hobby, but as a natural expression of how she understood the world. Her upbringing shaped her in ways that would echo throughout her entire life and career. Faith was not simply a Sunday practice in her household. It was the framework through which everything else was understood. Education, music, and literature were celebrated, and Gloria absorbed all of it with remarkable depth. She went on to study English at Anderson University, a small Christian college in Indiana, where her intellectual curiosity and spiritual commitment deepened together. It was there that she honed her poetic voice, developed her theological understanding, and began to see how those two things could work in perfect harmony. She graduated with a vision of what words could do, not just communicate, but heal, inspire, and transform. Her early formation gave her something rare: the ability to engage with the most complex questions of faith and translate them into language that ordinary people could feel in their bones. That gift would become the cornerstone of everything she accomplished. At Anderson University, Gloria crossed paths with a young aspiring gospel singer and teacher named Bill Gaynor. He was already experimenting with music, pulling together what would eventually become the Bill Gaynor Trio. She brought something he didn't have: a lyrical genius that could give melody a soul. They married in 1962, and from the very beginning, their partnership was something exceptional. In the early years, Gloria continued teaching English while Bill pursued music, but quickly became apparent that her gift for lyric writing was not a side contribution. It was the heart of what they were building together. Bill composed melodies that moved people, and Gloria gave those melodies meaning. Together, they created something greater than either could have produced alone. Their creative bond was not simply professional. It was a meeting of minds and convictions, a marriage of theological depth and artistic expression. Gloria's poetic instinct enriched Bill's musical compositions in ways that set a new standard for Christian music. While Bill stood in the spotlight as a performer and bandleader, Gloria worked quietly behind the scenes, shaping their legacy through her pen. Their songs did not shy away from the difficulties of faith. They did not offer easy answers or hollow optimism. They told the truth about struggle, doubt, and the long road back to hope. And that honesty is what made people love them so deeply. No song defines Gloria Gaither's legacy more completely than Because He Lives. And no story better illustrates the raw honesty at the center of her craft. The song was written in the late 1960s, a period of profound national and personal turbulence. The Vietnam War raged. Social unrest shook the country. Bill was exhausted from constant touring, and Gloria was pregnant with her third child, facing deep anxiety about bringing a new life into a world that felt broken and uncertain. It was in that place, not certainty, but surrender, that the song was born. Gloria described experiencing a quiet, settled peace that broke through her fear, a sense that because Christ had risen, there was a reason to face the future without dread. The lyrics that emerged from that moment were not triumphant in a loud, performative way. They were quietly and fiercely certain, rooted in lived experience rather than doctrine alone. When Because He Lives was recorded and released in 1971, it found an audience immediately, and it has never stopped finding new ones. The hymn transcended the boundaries of traditional gospel, reaching people of all backgrounds who were searching for something solid to hold on to in uncertain times. It became more than a song. It became a confession of faith that millions made their own. The success of that hymn elevated Gloria from the role of Bill's writing partner to a recognized creative authority in her own right. It also set the tone for everything she would write after. Music that emerged from real life, told the truth about suffering, and pointed steadily toward hope. Over the decades that followed, Gloria's influence on gospel music continued to deepen. She and Bill went on to co-write more than 700 songs, an astonishing catalog that became the backbone of Christian worship in churches around the world. But the numbers only tell part of the story. What set Gloria apart was not simply the volume of her output, but the quality of her vision. Her lyrics were theologically rich without being distant. They were poetic without being obscure. She had the rare ability to take the most complex truths of the Christian faith and render them in language that could move an 80-year-old grandmother and a struggling teenager in equal measure. During the rise of the Gaither Vocal Band and the celebrated Homecoming video series, Gloria remained a steady, if understated, presence. She rarely took the microphone herself, but her voice was everywhere, woven into every lyric, every prayer, every moment of worship those gatherings produced. Her calm and reflective spirit made her a sought-after mentor and speaker, particularly for women navigating their roles in a Christian music industry that was still largely defined by men. She authored devotional books, spiritual essays, and reflective journals that addressed faith, culture, gender, and family with a nuance and honesty that felt genuinely rare. She co-founded the Gaither Family Resources Center and helped develop the Gaither Homecoming Bible, creating platforms that nurtured the next generation of Christian artists. Her mentorship was marked by a profound ability to recognize individual gifts and call them out with love. Through all of it, she remained remarkably grounded. She once said simply, "We never set out to be stars. We set out to be faithful." That humility was not a pose. It was the operating principle of her entire ministry. Behind the ministry lay a real family life, complex, demanding, and full of the ordinary challenges that never quite stop, no matter how famous you become. Gloria and Bill raised 3 children, Suzanne, Amy, and Benjamin, while maintaining a touring schedule that would have overwhelmed most families. Gloria was intentional about her role as a mother. She often wrote songs late at night, after the children were asleep, carving out space for creativity without sacrificing presence. She worked hard to create a home that felt stable and rooted, even when the family was constantly on the move, a place where honest conversation, compassion, and faith were as natural as breathing. Friends and colleagues who knew her during those years consistently describe her the same way, as the calm in the storm, the voice of wisdom when decisions were hard, the woman who brought clarity without drama to moments of conflict or uncertainty. Her spiritual maturity was, in many ways, as much a ministry as any song she ever wrote. Her children grew up watching a mother who balanced enormous creative output, public responsibility, and genuine personal faith without losing herself in any of them. That balance, rare and hard won, is perhaps her quietest and most lasting gift to the people who loved her most. The farewell that Gloria recently offered the world was not dramatic. It did not come with grand final concerts or tearful goodbyes on a stage. It came in her own voice, in a quiet video, spoken directly to the people who had followed her for years. That restraint was entirely in keeping with who she has always been. Bill Gaither, in his own reflections on this season, spoke with a tenderness that made clear how deeply he understands and honors her. He expressed his belief that she has earned this rest, that she deserves the freedom to choose when to speak and when to be silent, to spend unhurried time with grandchildren, to move at a pace that allows for reflection and peace. Their children have offered tributes that paint a picture of a woman who was, in private, everything she appeared to be in public: a storyteller, a guide, a constant and quiet source of strength. The family has rallied around her with warmth and unity, creating the kind of safe harbor that she spent decades helping to build. Though Gloria Gaither is stepping away from public life, her voice will not disappear. The more than 700 songs she co-wrote continue to be sung in churches across the globe. Her books, devotionals, and written works remain available to all who seek them. New devotional materials are being preserved and prepared, ensuring that future generations will have access to the wisdom she spent a lifetime gathering. Her legacy is not simply a catalog of music. It is a way of being in the world, faithful, humble, honest, and deeply present. She demonstrated, through decades of quiet and consistent work, that real greatness is not measured by fame or recognition, but by faithfulness over time. She chose depth over visibility, substance over celebrity, and grace over performance. And the world is richer for it. As Gloria Gaither steps into this quieter season of her life, she does not leave behind a void. She leaves behind a model of how to live, how to create, how to serve, and ultimately how to rest. Her journey reminds us all that the most enduring legacies are built not in the spotlight, but in the long, faithful hours of a life well and honestly lived. And in the silence she now embraces, her songs keep singing,